I never show bra. So I was just sitting there adjusting my trillions today. And you're going to have to forgive the traffic noise. It's windows open only weather. And I was just fantasizing about how to very much make real that whole potential for paying off personal debt. My favorite. I feel like the global alleviation of personal debt is first and foremost on my agenda so that we can have some breathing room in the conversation and everybody can at least utilize the resources they have available to them. Some of the people that are living off zero resources is just unacceptable. And there's no need for it. The thing about having those digital assets in my bank account, and it's just digital assets. It's just digital assets right there, digital assets. They are spendable, first of all, and Scotiabank has been sitting on the spend function of that account the whole time. What I pulled off in pulling a reset sheet into my bank account is no short of wizardry. It's really not. The fact of the matter is I went and replicated from behind the covoid that which lurked behind the covoid. The reset sheet was the entire fucking ploy in the covoid. There was no other ploy than that. A reset sheet and a whole bunch of monitorization of the transfer of funds. What I managed to create was just a private wallet with no, I had, like, the Proton chain was stolen and disgraced, basically, but just so bewilderingly, pitiably, that the private wallet, which had no interference from anyone else, it could just transfer from that old homepage that was your bank account. And of course, we can fund the bank. We don't need to lose the bank just because we erase it of debt. They don't get to have that kind of service charge because they're not a commodity that has that kind of stake anymore. The bank is not relevant. It doesn't do a thing as far as our personal assets go when we could be managing them and utilizing them on transactional basis without the influence of the bank. And digitally, we can do that. We have our Proton wallet, we have our main facilitator of the amount, and the wallet can just, again, they just wouldn't let me on the platforms. These platforms thought they had a monopoly on the technology, and that was delusional. It was delusional and grandiose. My God. I'm so embarrassed for you. So grandiose. Yes, I'm here to lighten up the digital landscape yet again. Everybody relax. This thing that just blares on and on and on, this drunken nauseum that everybody's living in, especially over here in Canada where it's just fucking pound into these children, just pounded into them by these advertisers and their ridiculous agendae. It's just got to stop at some point because it's not sustainable. Hello? It's not sustainable. Why are we doing this? There's so much more you could be doing. And like I said, it doesn't matter who you want to be richer than. Nobody's going to change. We could have reset sheets in Proton wallets for a specific elite group of people by now, trialing the thing. And then instead it just sits in limbo because the one last phone I had it on was also stolen. Oh, Too bad for Sarah. 3 stolen phones, 3 laptops stolen later. Like, he stole them, guys. I was only able to ever hold on to my first laptop. Every other laptop got stolen for the run of like 4 laptops. Just atrocious behavior. There were points when the Proton wallet was being manufactured and I was actually programming that piece of data that you would just pull me off my machine and lock me up in a psych ward. Hello, you don't need to do that, bud. I'm doing fine, thanks. We have a nice little technology here now, a potential economically to relax the fuck out. Like I said, I won't be paying off the personal debt of no Richies first. There's problem areas that have flagged their own accounts. I have amounts that I have designated to certain project areas because they are in such dire need of help. Talk about living minimalist. Hi. And I just, for one, want to make sure that we take seriously the opportunity to organize this shit anyway, find what's left of it, pick the best remnants. We just don't need that centralized money transfer. That's just a basic fucking waste of a middleman. Monitor, somebody that monitors the whole thing. We have transaction histories, spending from our private wallets. And we can't get to the private wallets that has our reset sheet quite yet because we haven't even done any of that originating groundwork. And what the preliminary infrastructure looks like is we have to pick certain people that are willing to switch over to the reset sheet and can manage themselves, like people that we can trust across society, in small pockets of society, to be able to set assets and liabilities. Liabilities is something you have to invest in restoration. It's very simple. The restoration infrastructure on this planet does not exist, and that is not okay. It's a piece of bullshit. And by having both assets and liabilities in your reset sheet, you can ensure that you, at this stage, it's simply investing. It's just investing in the infrastructure that needs building and paying it out. Paying it out. And then automatically or by your best intent, a liability amount is also generated. We haven't even, right now it has to be by your best intent because it's manually programmed. So we might as well keep it like that and then set a liability amount, or you don't get the asset released. That's it. You don't get the asset released unless you agree to a liability amount that makes you want to invest in the restoration infrastructure. And by that, you can still, well, for example, plant hemp every clear cut. We need to be planting hemp in every clear cut, at least the one season a year we could get out of it, or 2. Here in British Columbia, all across Canada, really. We just need to invest in so many nice healing things and infrastructure, spa infrastructure made public. We still have to publicize the entire infrastructure. The fact of the matter is people need to be able to access boats, cars, luxury resorts, spas, whenever they wish. They need to be able to buy in, and the rest of society will fall into place because they'll be bought in on projects that they'll be paid on. They'll be brought in on debt and tax relief. They'll be brought in like tax relief, 100% tax relief. We're talking. We can knock them all down to 4% just to make fucking sure. Sorry, guys, you misspent that. 186 billion went to 911. So don't even talk about the stupid fucking piddly amount you sent up to fucking what's his name. While he colonizes the North. It's just an agreement to colonize the North in a militarized fashion. Come on. Nobody even mentions this. Like, oh, no wonder I'm solo. No one could handle a conversation with me anyway. So yeah, I could keep living my life at the bare minimum and just fight my way back and claw my way back with what was left of that disruption. I didn't need disrupting on my way to Taiwan. I was a problem for you, and I still got that reset sheet lodged in my bank account. And do you know how many hours of programming it took me? 20,000. 20,000. So much tension. So little exercise lately. I'm really walking the left-handed path. I just think it's a travesty that we should pretend those guys aren't using a reset sheet as well, just to be able to keep an economy at a. Again, it goes to quadrillions. Why are we fucking around in the trillions? Why are we fucking around in the trillions? I can't stand trillions. Like, they are so boring. They are so boring. We deal in the quadrillions. I deal in the quadrillions. I'm a global economy. I'm a global economy. Okay? Okay? Country debt, you're on the case. You'll be relieved of your duties as well eventually. But there'll be no tax on the poor. There'll be no tax on the poor. There'll be no demanding government amounts from them. Their CRA accounts are all going to be fucking cleared. All those, the problem areas of the world, particularly all across Asia, let's just say, Africa and India. Just because on this tiny little continent we don't see poverty, at least not poverty that we can't tolerate, that we don't take care of. We do take care of to a certain extent people that can't be helped. Like, there are addicts in this society, but not many of them. There's a lot of people living in needless poverty right now that at least has a basic infrastructure caring for them. But our poverty problem is disgusting. And I can't even sit here, let alone, again, universal basic income of 15 per hour, perfect. We'll start there. But I like 555 better. 55,000 a year for 5 years for all those who need it. And I'm talking about all those that work for under 40 grand a year. I'm going to include the 30 granders just because. 55,000 a year for 5 years. If you need 5 more after that, you can grab 5 more after that, up to 15. And the thing is you got to be able to make something of yourself with that money. You can get a place to rent. You can get, not that there's much left. We'd have to build. We'd essentially have to build and probably make a move to Middle Canada and finally start nurturing that area, because now we've got the isolated north all developed to shit thanks to the grossest pack of fucking egotists I've ever come across. Please, all of you, just stop. Just stop. Just stop. What are you doing? You're fucking around in piddly little amounts. You're taking as much as you can for your own personal self-interest. How are we supposed to cope with that? How are we supposed to sleep at night when that kind of shit goes down? Dude, you didn't just develop the North. You had to do this whole AI thing too, and this whole Neuralink thing, and this whole cluttering of near space that you're just so obsessed with. Like, stop hiding behind those things. Those things are your mask. You have to understand this is a vibrational reality. You know that. You're vibrating in all sorts of ways that are unregulated and kept secret, used deception to just bombard the consciousness of people with deception in order just to solo control what so many people have put their hard work into. Understanding this reality as a vibrational existence, being able to work with those frequencies, it's so basic and so simple. It's so basic and so simple. We need to be able to master it so we can regain our foothold in the cosmic negotiation. Because right now, the nearbys are making mockeries of us. And like I said, it sucks when I'm sitting here with this much digital asset in my bank account. Scotiabank, you know you've been sitting on that money. You won't let me release it. You won't have a conversation with me. You blocked it entirely. You blocked me from accessing the Proton account and linking it with the bank. You knew it was going on the whole time. I was just your dirty little problem. No wonder you were scared. You're going to lose your whole way of life. And like I said, your personal amounts are your personal amounts. You people that did that to the world, that charged it out at interest rates and recognizing the reset sheet and the infinite nature of it, decided to hoard that secret and loan it out at an interest. Why would you do that when you could set quadrillions over and over again? Too bad. Nobody wants your fucking cash. You can, but you can only lend it out, and nobody's buying right now. Nobody's buying, my friend. Son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. You colluded to close the Proton Bank and pretend it was a Malaysian joint all along and had all these miraculous assets, but it was you five desperately holding on to your foothold. You're using that mechanism right now through your own bank accounts and your own private wallets. You're just calling it Google and a whole bunch of shit so you can keep making more money off it and perpetuate this goddamn nonsense. This never slow down, never shut off ridiculousness that is in need of a good rock concert. I'm paying. Surely we can come up with some better than just harassing a few people that just need left alone. When do you finally get to say, yes, you've done enough, thank you for keeping it real for us, thank you. You don't have to leave if you don't want to. Nobody's forcing retirement at such a young age. Sorry, but it's still only 50, guys. It's only 50. So, I mean it. I went through hell and I'm still going to go through hell, and I'm putting terrible things in my body in a way that damages my interstitial fluid and causes paralysis in my brainstem. Yes, that's what it is, guys. Too many injections. Too many injections are what's causing MS and dementia. It's simple. It's a vibrational cacophony of insult, and the brainstem just gets overwhelmed because it comes in through the interstitial fluid on top of it and completely renders it shocked. It's good if you got Tourette syndrome, which I used to have, because that is a spasm in the brainstem, and with the brainstem paralyzed and essentially in a state, being forced into a state of stasis, It's just a lot. It's just a lot to have to process in the name of not being able to cope with this bullshit, because half the people on it, or more than half, are people that have a different perspective, are people that don't need help, are people that were known for doing it independently anyway. And these people are continuously harassed because it's got an essentially infinite appetite. We have now created these ridiculous little suburban clusters centered around the hospital and the usage of the application of medicines that don't work. Medicines that we just endured 15 years, 15 fucking years of worst case scenario hazard lists. Ad nauseum in some cases. Just how dare you? How dare you? May you be stacked to work with benign and savvy business entrepreneurs until you can realize that you don't have the right to fuck over the consciousness like you do medicine. We're talking about you, medicine. This is still a travesty. I'm still completely conscious of the fact. Like, you don't just get conscious of something. You work your ass off for 20 years, 25, 30 for me. No, it was probably, I worked my ass off for 30. Yes, I did. To come to awareness of what's possible in the vibrational reality. And you just do it by a constant state of ask and receive revelation. You just ask to receive information, and with the pull of your own integrity, you get that. And I just did that whole procedure as well, and I'm being completely undermined for it. You don't even let me breathe in this country. I can't have, you've canceled me entirely. I can't have one iota of a speck of traction on any of my platforms. You just gutter raped me in gang fashion out in public. Forced them all to turn their backs. Why would they want to turn their backs on such a luscious accomplishment? Let's not forget my accomplishment. I'm not going to keep bragging because it's not the only accomplishment there's ever been, but it's one that's half fulfilled at this point. My accomplishment is half fulfilled, so I need your help. I can't do it by myself because now I'd have to brilliantly somehow convince the bank to give me it back. I've just got to make them see how beautiful it is to be debt-free and to cut your operational costs and your staff to nil and let the 555 thing start to balance people out as it's coming from my bank, but I'll do all the paperwork. I'll mimic the shit that the EI does. I'll just mimic EI to a T. It's got the same tax rates it needs in a country that pays 4% maximum just to keep some money in the coffers. And all that money goes into research. And first and foremost, the cheapest and easiest research, finding what's left of Rife's map, figuring out how he turned light into sound, figuring out how, because it's easy, it's just a microscope. You see it as light, you turn it into sound to make sure that we have those codes right and start really just experimenting with light as sound. I know that seems daunting, but Neuralink, you're needless because all we have to do is apply the vibration of neuropathy correction on neuropathy's vibration. There's going to be ways that you can correct it. And Rife had it all mapped out, at least for the 500 basic human functions. Now that is the piece that's missing right now in this just stubborn ass tantrum This stubborn. Did you stage that thing with Donald Trump? Is this another motherfucking distraction politique? Those old cronies are sitting there thinking they're two of the best. They're cracking beers together whenever the fuck they can. You don't feel the camaraderie between Trump and Biden? They're best friends. They're best friends. Biden, oh my God, don't get me started. I can't with somebody at that age. He belongs nowhere near politics. And I don't mean the 40 to 50-year-old crowd is doing any better, because they're crashing and burning like nothing I've ever witnessed. Just offensive in so many ways. Thank God you at least planted 2 million trees. Like, that's really all we can say, because, okay, you've done some great stuff with bringing money back into the families in very minuscule amounts, but really, that's just a vote getter. That's just a vote getter, and you've leaned on it to the highest extent that it is possible. That carbon tax was my idea. I sent it in on a grade 9 essay so many years ago, and it's just been so bastardized. Capital gains, luxury tax, it's the same shit. It's the same shit. It's just way too much. It's 66% in some cases that shit's gonna blow. You can't do that to people. You can't just take that kind of money back. 60 on top of another 35%. You're taking like 95% of their income down, and you know it. That's income, bud. We've just watched you do it to the boomers twice now since 2008. Twice. Any money you can get your hands on, you just devour, and you turn it into this weapons grade piece, ideologically bereft piece of bullshit that's just going to guarantee that people are going to be warring. The whole masses are not interested in warring. There's no war left on the humanity that's going to captivate the audience quite like you buffoons think you did when you thought you were controlling the front line. These were televised acts of terror. They weren't real wars. We don't even know about the body count because we can't get anywhere near Gaza. The reason I'm sitting in solidarity and not going out and interviewing those people that allegedly had all this mass death occur to, they only needed one to try it the first time. They needed one war where they could control both sides and fake genocides. Faking genocides, when it comes to a data dump, is the same as a genocide. It takes just as much energy off the collective. Just data dumping these people's static energy by having us think that there's just been more mass murder over there. Has there or hasn't there? Because this was right about the time where the Nazis were said to resurge and bring about a world war where they own both sides in their own territory. Like, you're still Nazis. You're still as fucked as people get. I don't care if you want to believe in Satan, dumbass. That's not my prerogative. I do not believe in Satan. There's no Satan, you dumb fucks. There's no Satan. You can't do that. You can't yearn for ultimate power in the world and expect it to manifest. That's not the process of surrender. You'll never get restoration time that allotted to qualify for that kind of project. Do you know how much restoration time you would need to accomplish that kind of feat, to manifest ultimate power without surrender? That's all the devil is, without surrender. There's no fucking Luciferian influence. There's no angels that work for criminology. Like, it's just not a thing. So this idea that the devil is anything more than the perturbation of surrender. Sri Chinmoy talked about total obedience. Total obedience is very simple. It's just an open surrender. It's just an open surrender. Yeah, so I'm thinking of us first when I see what's possible with just releasing these quadrillion dollars into the economy. The thing is about me is I am more than ready to handle the challenge of being a quadrillionaires in the digital economy. And you can't take it from me because it's sitting right in my bank account. And it puts to rest a criminal history through the courts. Even we could even bring charges for what happened to me in my private wallet and my digital amount. These are crimes. These are crimes against humanity because you're holding progress back. You're holding progress back. The first thing I do with those quadrillions is just pay off debt. It's so simple to pay off. Visa, MasterCard, they owed like $52 billion worth of debt. It's nothing. I know I've said it on here before, but those are first. The CRA, the whatever you call it down south, I can't with all their specialties within it. Like it's just huge. Congress, let's call it. Imagine paying off the whole North American debt first and then going into all these other countries. Like down in South America, there's countries that they just beat people to death for their debt. There's just farmers that are broke having to pay all these taxes. It's just not fair. Even in here in Canada, when we have such a population living off so little, the basic personal amount is so little. And we have a huge sector of our population subsiding on that right now. Put that money back in the economy. We're taking our taxes back. We have to, guys. With 4%, you can do the basic bare minimum. We're going to make sure the military is taken care of. We will not defund the military. Let's just make that as part of the negotiation. I know that's what you're scared of most, but within or outside that 4%, we can maintain funding for the military. I can't spend on military because it's against my beliefs. I'm too peaceful of a person to spend on military. I believe in negotiation. I'm part of the actual United Nations that believes in negotiation. Hello. What a blasphemy you've made of that place in the last 25 years. What a waste of infrastructure. Like I said, it's a kangaroo court at best. At best. There's nothing going on within it. I don't care if you think you're a spectacular commentator and you should hold the hearts and minds of the whole generation. There has been a tendency towards really ugly people putting out deliberate distraction politic and doing it in a way where they're totally conscious of it and totally feeling that they're above the law. The severity of the crime is just overwhelming. It's distraction politique. It's like the worst thing that you could do in the North American context. Distraction politique is a fascist employment or strategy. Anti-influencers is what you are. Anti-influencers. 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 I think he took it easy on you guys. Fine, I'll comment on it. Somebody just asked me to comment on Slim Shady. I'll do that. He's taking it way too easy on you guys. I still like it. Like it's still it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. But it's well worth checking out. The thing about it coming through one woman's bank account that's this level headed. Another great benefit to that is the fact that we don't have to halt everything at once. We can have a series of negotiations whereby we discuss how to transition over to the private wallet. And again, we're cutting off fees and taxes and interest. We're just saying no thanks. We have our own amounts, and I'll make sure that people have enough amounts. And in the meantime, I carry this balance. But my first agenda is to empty that reset sheet so I can refill it. I just want to spend everything I have and then refill it. That's just the beauty of the reset sheet, guys. You didn't unleash it in a secret way. It's not for your own benefit. The only thing it's doing is sitting in there generating amounts at my will and random. That's its only function, and you put it in my bank account and I found it that night. You had no choice. What I had done through the interfaces that were available to me was make electronic geofencing impossible. So you can't geofence anyone and seize their assets. The horror and the torment I went through was just insane. The horror and the torment, my God, while the rest of you were out there having perfect little lives, just sopping up your job details when the infrastructure is bankrupt. You can't be out there living off the highs of your infrastructure involvement when the infrastructure is this bankrupt. There's an issue with that. It is called being delusional. It is called being divorced from reality and in your own state of la la land. It's divorced from reality, and it puts so many people in such a lonely place. I just want to tend to my wellness again and live a life. Well, I want my money. I just want the money, and I want to be able to spend it. I deserve it. What I did was 20,000 hours of labor. All day, all night for 5 years. 2017, when they jumped me the first time, right after Gordy passed, it took them 2 weeks. They had it in their heads that we were prophesized by Christ, Gordy and I, our love affair, and the legacy it left in history was big enough to be recognized by Christ. And the fact is we were both raised extremely Christian by people who held the Ark of the Covenant. The people who held the Ark of the Covenant exist, they exist. They're a caliber of human you can't fuck with. They're entirely untouchable, and they are completely surrendered to God. It's such a beautiful masterpiece to behold them. They raised me. I'm not dead yet. I'm not down for the count, and I'm not out entirely. I'm going to keep getting on here and hammering till you guys listen the reality of the situation. I'm a quadrillionaires. It happens. And without makeup sometimes, without immediate entrenchment in ball gown, which I promise you I have some of Taylor Swift's fucking best shit coming my way. I'm going that route with things like, sure, mine might be dresses, but it might not be. I honestly could put anything I wanted in the tights that she wears and look just fine. I'm coming for that wardrobe. The lady, honey, please. I didn't mean to call you lady. Your names, please. Who does your shit? Who does your shit, buddy? I'm not going to spend a ton of money on it because I just need practical shit that's cotton essentially. I like my cotton or wool in the winter. Yeah, but cotton dresses can look a lot nicer than you can imagine. So I just want to do the best I can on all levels, and don't harsh me for dressing up because it's within me to do so, and I haven't had the opportunity to since the COVID. I'm still representing that which the COVID has killed. My being would not have gone through this in protest, which it consciously did. It did. My being went through this in result. I couldn't let what was dead behind the COVID not have a physical outlet for expression. That's why I walked the dark path so long. And I've just, well, again, you get pulled out of your life enough times, it's going to be harder to rebound. My track record of reestablishing myself was over 7 times. So I don't have to look back at my track record and think I did a shit job. I reestablished myself 7 times. I'm barely dangling on the 7th time. And I've done it yet again, but not easily and at a high price, at a really high price. Time is almost up. I'm just fed up today with the antics. And I can no longer, based on the other end of what you put me through, which was a total spit in my face. You said, we do not want to work with you. We do not endorse anything you do. We do not have time for you, Miss Newton. All we can do is take what you, in our heads, we think is ours anyway. Because they were just laundering components back and forth, and that's how I put the whole thing together. I just grabbed the components. Behind the COVID, to get the reset sheet established, they had to take the ultimate risk. The ultimate risk. And that was launder components on open airwaves. And I grabbed them all. And I created these things. That's how it happened. It took me hours. It took my whole peak of my career, and it's worth it because I made $2 quadrillion doing it. $2 quadrillion in a reset sheet. The reset sheet was thrust upon me. They thought they could, and it was buried way deep in my bank account. They thought they could get it by me one night, and I knew it was there in all my might. I had to dump another email account. I had to, what I had to do that night was just disgusting. And then I just set the fucking reset amount. I utilized all the available columns, and then eventually I made an extra column because they realized it has to be at least to the 1 quadrillions recognizable by the digital economy. And that money it's recognized by the digital economy. It's right there. Like I said, Scotia is sitting on the gadgets to make it not, or I'd be using it right now. If I had Scotia say, wow, Miss Newton, that was quite a maneuver. This might work. They don't just get to ghost me. You don't just get to ghost somebody that pulls that off and makes your whole existence entirely redundant. You don't go overnight from having a relevant existence to a redundant existence unless you are a mass criminal. You bankers are mass ass criminals, charging people the amount that you do. Do you know how many times the banks have actually taken service fees instead of letting a poor person cash a check? The malignant humor they find in it. I'm sorry, elitists, but you're not. Again, nobody falls for your guises. You're just Any type of weirdo. That's it. You're any type of weirdo like the rest of us. Sorry, you're not the celebrity class just because you have old money in a redundant system. Let's not forget that's the money you get to keep for now, so you can have your way of life. Pay your taxes on it or don't. Nobody's asking. Nobody's coming for your debt relief. If you have that kind of debt, you're done. It's only for the basic minimums. People with up to $55,000 in debt, we'll do it that way. We'll have a special fund for people up to $555,000 in debt. And a few people will get accepted at that level. Because we've just got to make sure these innocents haven't just been fleeced. The Proton wallet was completely unhackable. They couldn't get in any of it. Couldn't get in Discord either. Thanks to me. Again, we want to pretend in the great old history of human memory implantation, you're not doing that. We're not having this conversation with me. Planting memories through the Mandela effect. That's all it is. It's experimentation. Very easy to do when you can project telepathically. We lost somebody that was on our trail during what I accomplished. And that was a nasty piece of garbage. Luckily, totally dependent on our social structure, or we'd have been fucked. Dare I feel a little bit optimistic? That's it. I'm just going to feel optimistic today that eventually people will start to see things my way. I am promising debt relief. It's not a small amount of beans. I'm talking Visa, MasterCard, Amex, Diners Club, PC, the CRA and the IRS, and then we'll hit it by unions. We'll go European Union, simultaneous with Africa, Asia, India, and Australia. We have to include Australia. We have to include the EU. And just pay off those country debts. And then I'll have had a healthy chunk taken down from my assets, and I'll then be able to turn around and invest all my liabilities. I just upped all my liabilities today because I'm ready to pay more. Right now, my assets and liabilities are working like I'll use the liabilities to pay off these debts. But you see, that's how liabilities now can work. I can use my liabilities to pay off debt. Well, I see this needs happening, so let's do it. It's the best thing for spiritual health that stands. And then, of course, restocking musical instruments and art supplies. Like, it's not a huge deal. Like, it's really easy to cultivate excellence amongst your children. When we're finally getting into, again, we're taking down the school boards. That's just part of it. But a basic infrastructure of curriculum experts will be left there so that we can make sure that we get the highest caliber of curriculum. And by cooperating on this level and just humbly doing it, because you have to just throw the towel into me. If my entire digital history was made known, again, it's apparently been kept. All my data has been taken as I sent it and duplicated. So let's pull all that data back out and just see exactly what I did. And find the prototypes that have been so unceremoniously just erased. Just took over the, technically, she's got no public-facing PR yet. We could just bombard the public-facing PR today. That's what we always do anyway. They are a bunch of advertisers. The dirtiest, most space-obsessed, most deceptive, most greedy, most classless among us has been the advertisers. I'm sorry, but I'm offering something a little better than Candace Owens and a little different. Yeah, for now, I obsess on you guys coming to understand the nature of this reset amount so that you may see the benefit and feel the benefit of that kind of cash on our economy. But other than that, like, I just want you to know that I have way different views on race for sure. Race, what's my view on race? 50 years too late. 50 years ago, we had this solved, and there's no excuse for any perpetuation of this shit. We have missed the boat if we are still perpetuating racism on any level. And let's not forget, past the COVID, racism qualifies. That was just an extreme racism. It was racism done against every average Joe that had just been assimilated. You put them down, you took their fucking rights away, you took their money on them, lied to their face, you killed right under their noses, just killed in a terrible way. You gotta fucking buck up and not be scared to live, man. That's just the way of the world. So it's time to go for the day, and I'll let you go. I'm just trying to make sure I don't have any final points. Thanks for tuning in today. It's a special one for a special wonder. Oh, my stars almighty. He took it easy on you. He definitely did. I don't know. I think I found it the most interesting, the main staging, for the entire concept, the main staging of the death aspect. There was not quite enough for my own personal like of your revelations coming through. I think, like I said, you main stage that, and it's fine if you're shy. That's totally fine. It's just you being shy. So nobody expects it or demands it of you. Certainly not me. I don't demand that of you. But it's like there's another album coming. That's all I'm going to say. It's like there's another album coming. So I feel like that's fine with everybody. You didn't tank, that's for sure. And there's just people you miss in life. There's people you miss in life, and that seems to be the front and center feeling that's coming forward. I don't feel the need to comment. It is what it is, and it's so vibrant and alive. That's it. And that's so worth fighting for. It's so worth devoting yourself to, and it's so worth never harming. That's pretty much my offering. But I'll race you. Like, we could have a drag race. I'd definitely do a drag race against your ass. But I don't take much risk beyond that, so don't worry about it. There's risks you got to take when they're presented to you, and that's what I did when I set that economy a new one. But that has been done, and it's something we can rely on and build off of if we would just embrace it, if we would just come to accept it and celebrate it. Okay? I love you all lots. Thanks for listening.